here today to acknowledge and represent the African American girls whose stories don't make the front page of every national newspaper, whose stories don't lead on the evening news. I represent the African American women who are victims of gun violence, who are simply statistics instead of vibrant, beautiful girls that full of potential.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Lovecraft Country by The Verdict's In. I'm your host, Nicole.
I'm Gary.
And today we're talking about Lovecraft Country, episode 8, entitled Jig-A-Bobo. Gary, what'd you think of the episode?
This was one of the best episodes yet. And I didn't think anything could compete with last week's episode where she was not out of space. We don't know where she was at.
Yeah, wherever she was.
But in that dimension. But this episode actually took the cake. I mean, it was scary and it was so sad in certain parts, like Bobo. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's crazy how they did him. And it's crazy that, you know, when we sit there and watch the funeral or the open or the wake, I think that's what they call it. Mm-hmm. When you watch the wake and you have people standing on little milk crates protesting, saying we will not let this happen to us again.
Right.
And this stuff keeps happening year after year after year, multiple times in years. And I mean, it's still going on. That's crazy. And, you know, seeing the little character, the girls that, you know, the white people used to draw in their little books, like the Jig-A-Boos or whatever they called them, mm-hmm. Which I don't like that term, Jig-A-Boo, but that's what they called the little characters. And just to see them scared the shit out of me.
Yeah, those girls were very, very scary. And you're right, this was a very good episode. I didn't think it could beat last week. I mean, each week I go, oh my gosh, it gets better and better. Like the flashback episode that we got a few weeks ago, I thought that was good, and then it just keeps getting better and better. They keep surprising me. So but as you said, also this episode was sad because they keep, you know, they mix the fiction with the nonfiction, and then you realize how, you know, this is supposed to be in the 1950s and how so much has changed, but how much has not changed as well.
Right.
Which makes it sad.
It is. That's probably the saddest part.
Yeah, that's the saddest part, especially when you hear the guy protesting like they're killing our children and they're, you know, and stuff like that, and this won't happen again. And then someone else saying, like, someone else on the opposite end saying, okay, you guys, we need to fight this, but with the law. But you keep hearing fighting with the law doesn't do anything because they keep getting off. They never go to jail. Whether it's a civilian that kills someone, such as Trayvon Martin, or whether it's the police that kill someone, such as, and I'm thinking of these little kids, Tamir Rice, and it just keeps happening. And I'm not here to necessarily advocate for violence or anything like that, but no, the protesting and the saying, hey, we need to fight it in the law, I just can't get behind that anymore because it hasn't worked. It hasn't been working. It's still not working to this day. So until you show me that, hey, just peaceful protest or going to the court and letting the court system handle it works, I really can't get behind that sentiment at this point.
And we see it here on the show that the court system is not going to work, and we've seen it in, like, now, real life.
Right.
Now. In fact, the part about Bobo, I mean, that was real life.
Yes.
And we saw that the guys were going to get off. They would never go to justice for it.
Yeah.
Right.
They were acquitted. All right. So the opening, you know, we get it's a hot summer day. All the people are in line for Emmett Till's murder. And I kind of like how Tick and Letty have this conversation. He's like, well, Dee, you know, her friend just died. And Letty's like, no, her friend didn't just die. He didn't just so happily die. He was murdered, which is even worse. It's not like the kid, you know, got in a car accident and died, or, you know, some freak accident or something. He was literally murdered, a kid. And that has to hurt because when you're a kid, I remember when you're a kid, you used to think, who would hurt a kid? But it's not until you become adult that you learn that, no, people will hurt kids. But she's having to learn that at a very young age, that it doesn't matter if you're a kid, someone will still hurt you.
Yeah, you're not safe.
Yeah. And we also find out that Hippolyta's not back. So I remember last week when we were discussing the episode, it sounded like Hippolyta was going back, but she's not here. So where do you think she is?
I wonder if she's still in another dimension. it's a dimension opposite of this, but she's back, or she could be where Tig just left from.
The future.
Well, not the future, but the past, but alternative past, where there's Horace is her son instead of having a daughter.
Well, no, that was the future. Remember, that's where Tig said he went. He went to the future. The book that the guy wrote was just different from what he changed. He changed the story up. Tig's son changed the story up. But
no, I'm saying, listen to what I'm saying. That Tig went to the future. He met his grown son. He got the book from his grown son.
No, he didn't get it from his son.
Well, he got the book that his grown son wrote.
Right.
But his grown son wrote about the past. So maybe she went to that past that was written about.
And that's what I'm arguing against. I'm saying that the book that the son wrote is this past. Just because he changed stuff, I didn't think it was a different past. I think he just changed some stuff about it. But then Dee runs off, so she's now missing, and we see her, she's, just kind of off on her own thinking, and she does see two little girls. They're up there laughing, and it just shows you the pain that she's in, because she starts throwing rocks at him, and she goes, there's nothing to laugh about right now. And I kind of feel her on that, because, when you hear such hurtful stuff happen, and especially, like with everything that's been going on this year with the pandemic and everything, and when we were in the heat of all the protests, like literally right after George Floyd, everything happened with that. Like, I remember on a work call, they were like, someone was talking about their weekend, and it was just like happy-go-lucky, like nothing had just happened. And it was boggling me, because I'm like, what the fuck? Like, are you this dense? Like, you're sitting here and acting like this shit is not going on. And so I kind of got where Dee was going. Like, these young girls, they're being kids. They're enjoying themselves. But sometimes it's so hurtful when
they're living life because it didn't affect them.
It didn't affect them, yeah. And they probably didn't know Bobo and everything like that. But it just sometimes hurts when it's like something so big going on and other people, don't acknowledge it. Which I'm guessing happens all the time. There's probably stuff going on right now in other countries or even in this country where we don't know and it's not affecting us, and we're able to laugh and chill, and other people's worlds are just being crumbled.
And there are things that people know about.
Yeah.
Like, you could know about a certain situation, like what was said in this show. Like, no, I don't care about Emmett dying. I don't care about the guy's going to get acquitted for it. I don't care about, and I don't think you do neither. So, but there's people that, like I said, if it's not affecting them personally, and it's not, and I think we talked about this the other day when we were talking about how people argue political, take political stances and argue it, and they act like it's such a big deal to them online and everything. Mm-hmm. But, there's some things that they argue that they probably really don't care about.
Right. Because
it's not affecting them. But anybody will say anything or take any point they want to take just to win an argument.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what was said in the show. Like, I don't really care about the situation. It didn't affect me. I'm just going to go on with my life.
Yeah. And you're referring to when Christina is later on talking to Ruby.
Right.
Yeah. I like that scene. And we're going to get to it. Here, we see the police come up to Dee, and they start harassing her immediately, which we knew was going to happen, but I was very surprised how fast it took place, and very surprised that the police found her so quickly. Like, here she was walking, and then boom, they were up there on her, and the guy puts a curse on her, spits on her. It was very, very gross. Gross scene.
We knew it was going to happen quick, because those were no ordinary police officers that were killed. Mm-hmm. They knew something about the magic.
Yeah. They were there to protect.
They were there to protect it.
Right.
Yes.
And then the sad part here is when one of the officers are like kind of like choking Dee, and she goes, "I can't breathe." And
right. That was sad.
Yeah.
And it was sick.
Yeah. All right. So some of this I was confused, but then I kind of got a little bit more clear the second time we watched, because we see a couple people negotiate with Christina this episode, and it seems like Christina's going to be the one that ends up winning the most. But we see Tig, he meets with Christina, and he asks her to tell him, like, teach him a spell, and he shows her the key to the Ori, and she's going to teach him that spell. So later on, we see Letty kind of negotiate something along the same lines with Christina.
Protection, yes.
Yeah. So do you think all three won, or do you think Christina was like the big time winner as far as all this negotiation that took place?
I think they're all winners in a sense because, well, they're winners and losers. They're all winners because they're all protected. But just the aftermath of what's going to be from the situation. Mm-hmm. Like, Letty just lost her whole home.
Right.
And that was sick also. The police shooting inside the house.
Right.
Not caring, who they hit. That's crazy. And then we don't know what the aftermath is going to be for the monster killing the police officers.
Yeah.
So
how that's going to
yeah. So I don't think any of them are winners in it right now, but all of them won.
Because they're alive.
Because they're alive right now.
Yeah. Well, Dee comes home, and you know what? For a moment, I actually forgot that Dee and Montrose knew each other. Because when he starts yelling at her, I'm like, how do they know each other? Then I'm like, duh, that's her uncle,
Right.
And he does try to relate. He goes, the same thing happened to me when I was a kid. The police came and took my friend away, or some white guys took my friend away, and it sounds like something horrible happened to his friend. And it just kind of even made things sadder, in my opinion, because it was just like, once again, that cycle of abuse, that history of people, white people in particular, getting away with killing and harming black people, and nothing happening, and showing that Emmett Till, although his story is very well known, that there were children before him and there's been children after him that's been brutally killed.
Yeah.
So we see Ruby go to Christina/William's house, and she does start getting harassed by the white neighbors. And one thing I'm glad they discussed, but it just pissed me off. And that's when the white guys are talking to William, and saying like, hey, we just want to make sure none of that mess on the other side of town comes over and ruins our neighborhood.
Right, pour into this neighborhood.
Yeah, and it's like, what do you mean mess? You mean the anger and piss offness that happened because a little boy was brutally killed? You don't want that coming to your neighborhood?
And that goes back to what I said. If it doesn't affect them, they don't care about it.
Right. They're not mad that a boy was killed. Right. They're mad that because that the aftermath of him being killed.
And it's not relatable. It's not relatable to them. Mm-hmm. And I explained this before. I don't know if it was this podcast or the other podcast, because it is a shame that show after show we have to discuss this.
Yeah.
But I explained that, white people can't relate to young black kids. Young black children don't even look like children to them. And I was talking about a test that was done that, they put up like pictures of white kids and pictures of black kids. And they always thought the white children were younger than what they were. And with the black kids, they always thought they were like 3-4 years older than what they were.
Yeah. Like they see a 5-year-old and guess he's 8 or 9.
Right. So that they don't even see us as being children.
Right.
And that's why 2 grown men were able to beat up on this kid. Mm-hmm. And I think, how old was he at the time?
He was 14.
14. They were able to brutally murder a young kid. And then I saw a picture of the 2 guys hugging their wives after they got off.
I don't even see the women are just as sickening as the men.
They are. If you're able to stick beside a child killer,
right,
hug them, happy to celebrate them, then you're just sick as he is.
Well, Ruby and William, they start kind of making out. He's giving her a bath, but then she takes the potion and they hook up with her being the white woman. And she later tells Christina, the reason why is because I didn't want to be a black woman, fucking a white man on this day. So I kind of got what she was saying. She didn't want to be able to look into the mirror and see herself doing that.
Right. My thing about this, and I think we spoke about it during the scene, is how is Christina able to stay changed so long? Because
even when they're hooking up, we see Ruby we never seen her transform into the white lady. That was the first time, and it was kind of freaky, scary, but cool. It kind of just made me think of what's the lady's name from the one from X-Men that can like change into different people. The one that's blue, but she can look at it.
Yeah, I know you're talking about. I can't think of it. Mystique or something.
Yeah, Mystique. Yeah, it just made me think of Mystique. But literally, while they're in the middle of screwing, like, she starts changing back to Ruby. So I'm like, hold on. How is she changing back that fast? Unless it's due to, I think once William or Christina did mention that, like, emotions can trigger your change. But, William didn't change. I don't know. It's just, what did you think of that? Like, did she only take half a dose or something?
I think we said something like this before, that maybe it does deal with emotion and maybe the orgasm triggered it. Or, I mean, I don't know. It's just that Christine can say William so long because we saw Ruby take the thing like after or during William or while William was there.
William, yeah.
Yeah. While Christina was William. And we see her change back just that quick. And Christina is still William.
Right.
Although that scene was nasty, it was kind of hot.
It was. It was. Like, I was like, because then they were like still kissing afterwards with all the blood and guts around them. And I was like, okay, kind of hot, kind of gross.
Yeah.
All right, so now Dee is starting to understand what the cops did to her because she sees these two scary-looking girls when she's at the train station, and no one else sees them, and their hands are bloody, and they have these sharp nails, and they start coming towards her. And this is like the first of many scenes that we'll get with her running away from these two girls.
And it's the same girl she's seen on the book.
The book cover.
I think the book was called Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Yeah.
Which I have to find that book. Read it, see what it's about. And see if that's where the term Uncle Tom came from, or it is about something different. But you saw how they drew the girl on the cover. Mm-hmm. You know, had the dress on, looking crazy with the braids all, sticking up and out.
Right.
That's crazy.
So Jaha makes an appearance this week. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name. The lady from Tick's flashback. And I was surprised to see her, and I still really don't get the point of her showing up. Unless she's going to be on later in the episode or later in the series, because all she does is pretty much tell Tick and Letty who she is, and she's never saw anything like that before, and Letty's really pissed off that she's there, and she starts yelling at Tick. I didn't even get why Letty was so mad at Tick. I guess because he didn't tell her. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't get. Maybe Ja told her more than we think she told her. Okay. Like maybe she told her about Tick killing her friend.
Yeah, well, yeah, because he's like, so you killed 100 men, and she's like, well, at least I had a purpose. What is your excuse or something? She said something like that implied that you killed a lot of people too.
Yeah, so she could have told Letty like everything,
right,
from start to where they are now. And I think she's there because she is worried about Tick. Like Letty said, she's here because she loves you. So if you love someone, you want to go where they at to make sure they're all right. Especially after we seen Tick call her, like, was it last episode or 2 episodes ago? And say, how did you know? Mm-hmm.
But Tick admits, like, hey, I didn't know what was going on. I mean, I thought Tick was a little asshole because, like, what the fuck are you doing here? You can give me any news. Just get that. I'm like, damn, Tick, you acting like she just, I don't know, like, what we had wasn't real. And, like, yes, I get that she's technically a monster, but Tick is just showing so many times that he's not a good guy, that like he's not the good guy that we think he is. Like, I mean, he's a flawed character, which is part of being human, but like
he has a emotional problem.
Yeah,
and it could come from his childhood, and I hate to, kind of diagnose him with.
No, but you're right.
But it could come from his father. He was getting beat when he was a child by his father.
Right.
And the reason he went to the military is to escape, the world he was living in. His mother died young. So a lot of this has to play with his childhood because he have anger and it runs so deep.
Yeah.
You could tell by, when he got in a fight with his father, he was a little just too mad.
Right. And even every time him and Letty get an argument, even this episode when she turns like when she's telling him to leave, and then he's like, I'm doing everything, and then like he starts seeming angry, and every time he gets angry, he just seems so angry, like he may, God forbid, hit her or something. I mean, I don't think he would, especially in her condition, but that's how angry he looks. He
looks like he could get that angry, which I doubt he will.
All right, so we get Ruby and Christina, and we kind of already discussed that scene, and Christina saying like, she doesn't care, and I really didn't get why she was being so rude, but then it kind of goes to maybe Christina really does care about Ruby, because then of course her final scene is being killed. She paid 2 people to kill her the exact same way that Emmett Till was killed. So she did feel everything, like Ruby said. Ruby didn't say, I want you to feel how Emmett felt. I want you to feel how I'm feeling.
Right. I don't think that. I think she was being honest when she said she didn't care about the situation. But I think you're right. She do care about Ruby.
Yeah.
And she wanted to be, she was like, probably like, yeah, you know what? I wonder how it feels, or how did Emmett feel in his final moment.
Yeah.
Maybe if I feel this way or see what he went through,
I can have some compassion.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So Tick finally, he goes. You
know what? I'm sorry. I have something to say, because we have to stop acting like, I don't know how to explain this, but I'm gonna walk through it slow, so you can probably get a good understanding.
Okay.
That white people just don't understand.
Yep.
Black people issues.
Yep. I agree.
We have to stop acting like it's just that, because a lot of people show their true colors of what they really care about and who they really care about. And like the young kid, 17-year-old, 18-year-old, whoever, who had the gun, who killed those 3 white men, or killed 2 and injured 1.
Yeah.
All the people that he shot and injured, except I think 1 was black, but the ones that were killed were white men. Mm-hmm. You didn't see any white people relate to that. You didn't see any issue like, oh, rest in peace to the guys he killed. You know why? Because that wasn't their concern. Their concern was, oh, we don't like this protest. Oh, if they want to be in this protest with black people. And that's why I said that people act like they care, but it's all just people just want to be right. Mm-hmm. They just want to make sure their cause, or however they feeling about their cause, even though they really don't care about the agenda, they just want to. And I don't know why people just love to win. That's it. And they feel, and I guarantee you, a lot of them felt like the boy with the gun was on their side. He was, he's on this side of these politics, and the other guys who died are on that side of politics. So I don't really care about really what happened to them. I'm only concerned with getting this young kid off, because he raised a lot of money quickly. Mm-hmm. Quickly. And it shocked me, because I thought it was going to be a check. Like, hold up, man. He didn't kill black people in this protest. He killed 2 white guys. So I want to see how this plays out. And you would never know there was 2 white guys he killed. You would never know. You would have never known.
Well, I got 2 things to say about that. 1, nothing more than a racist white person hates more than a black person is another white person sticking up for this black person. So that's why they don't care. Because if they don't care about black lives, they definitely don't care about the white lives that died trying to protect black lives. 2, with you mentioning that, hey, they're saying, like, I can't relate. Like, I know when we have conversations, especially at work with all these, race relations, and people are going like, I can't understand what you guys are going through, but I want to try. And it's like, I hate when people say that. How the fuck is it you can't understand what we're going through? I've never been in a house fire. I've never been set on fire. I've never been bit by a shark. But you know what? All this shit, I can understand. You get bit by a shark, I'm not gonna be like, damn, I don't understand how you feel, but damn, I want to try to relate. No, I'd be outraged. I'd be like, you know what? Getting bit by a shark would fucking hurt. Getting in a house fire and you getting burned, that would fucking hurt. I don't have to experience it to understand and to relate. It's common sense. If someone is being killed over and over, and black people are being killed by the police for no damn reason over and over and over, it doesn't matter that you're not black. It doesn't matter. You should be able to see, damn, that's some fucked up shit.
You think so?
So I'm just tired of them saying, oh, I can't relate. Really? You can't relate. No, you don't want to relate. You don't want to think about it.
Hey, I mean, you made it hit the nail on it, or the hammer on the nail, or whatever the saying is.
And it's just like what Ruby was telling Christina. The reason why you don't feel anything is because you know it will never happen to you. You know you would never get killed by somebody without paying them. Remember, the guys didn't even want to do it. Like, fuck, we never did this. But that's which I have some things to say about that. But that privilege of not being worried, of not having to worry if a police officer is gonna shoot you for no damn reason.
I thought the same day during that scene. I'm like, hold up, she paid them to kill her, and they're just gonna do it.
Which showed me, and we'll just talk about it since we're there. It showed me how sick they are. And I'm not saying them as in all white people or anything like that, but just how sick these racists are, these people, because who would do it still if someone paid them? You have to be pretty sick for someone to say, kill me, and this is how I want you to kill me.
You're right. They had no fear of killing her and getting caught for killing her.
No fear. The thought of getting caught, no way. They first were like, shit, this is gross. They said, I never done anything like this, but then fuck it, and did it.
Right.
and then have the nerve to turn around and call us savages and shit. It's just crazy. And then instead, people will make excuse, and they'll be like, well, she did ask for it. Like, that's, she did pay them. There's always excuses for them. But Tick and Montrose, when they're talking, we kind of already discussed a little bit of this, and he tells him, hey, about how not meeting his son, but getting the book so he knows he has a son, and he knows Letty's pregnant and everything like that. And he does also ask Montrose, have you ever cheated on my mom? And Montrose said, no, I didn't. But he says their relationship was not romantic, but they both wanted a family.
They both loved each other.
Yeah.
It was just based on love.
Yeah. So it kind of tells me it is possible that George is the dad. Even more so. Because if their relationship wasn't romantic, I mean, I'm guessing they had to have sex at least once, but...
Or, maybe not.
Well, then Montrose would know for sure that he's not the dad if they never had sex. But
I think Montrose know for sure that he's not the father.
Okay. Yeah, maybe. He has to. If he never had sex with her, he has to know. But one thing he said that was sad, he was like, because you still hear about stuff like this today, and it's just talking about different people's struggles. And with him being a black man in America, it's even harder for him because he's not just a black man in America, he's a gay black man. And he talks about how a pastor was caught with a man and they put him in an asylum, cut his brains out. And he's like, I don't want to end up in jail or an asylum or in a park dead. He's like, so I had to live this fake life. Like, he couldn't even live his real life out of fear of his life.
Yeah.
All right. So while Tick is over trying to save Letty or figure out a way to save Letty's at the church praying, trying to figure out a way to save Tick. And she asked Christina, hey, here's the negatives to Titus's pages. Just make Tick invulnerable. And Christina tells her, no, I'll do it for you, but that's it. And I kind of like that. Kind of like Christina sort of giving Letty the ammunition to put herself first. And although first Letty...
Well, she already made a side deal with Tick, so she already know he's good.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But she agrees, and now you know that that Letty's invulnerable. So I don't know if they mean, like, is this forever? Or is this, like, what does that mean, necessarily?
I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. Well, Dee, she follows the police, and when she like busts in the office, and she asked if her mom's dead or not, and they said probably, and she asked them to remove the curse, and he said, only if you bring me the Ori. And she spits on him and calls him a pig, which I thought was very badass,
Yeah, it was. I mean, she's very brave. And plus, I mean, she feels like she's going to die anyway.
Yeah, well, they feel like she's going to die. He's like, forget about her. She's dead anyway.
Well, they know.
Yeah.
They know that she's dead anyway. But she feels like she's going to die anyway. So if my mother's already dead, I'm not helping you out.
Right.
I don't need you to take this curse from me. And you never know. Everything that's happening in her life right now, she probably feels like dying.
Yeah. Her dad just died. Her best friend just died. Her mom is missing and may possibly be dead. Now she has these monsters following her, and she does feel all alone. So she's having a rough go right now. All right, so we see Christina get beat, which we've already discussed. And Letty and Ruby finally put everything out there. Well, Ruby kind of puts it out there. She knows all about the magic and how Uncle George really died and how they went to our room and everything like that. And before they can really deep dive into it, the police show up at their door. And of course, one of them could get in because he's probably one of the police officers that don't know about magic.
Or he probably doesn't know about, like, a lot of shit they're doing.
Yeah.
You know how they always say that, all cops are not bad?
Yeah.
But he was willing to go in there and do what it took or what the rest of them wanted to do.
Right.
Like, we're here because we found out not Black Panthers, but what?
Yeah, Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam.
Yeah.
Are hiding out here. That's crazy.
That was.
But, yeah, he might not be what people would consider a bad cop.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw he just walked straight in. He's not a part of the club yet. Yet. But, I mean, if he's willing to do that, then, I mean, he's just as bad as they are.
Right. I was just about to say that. If you're not speaking up and speaking out against what you see, then, yeah, you are a bad cop. because silence is violence. We've always talked about that. But the captain can't get in, and then Letty's like, he knows magic, and then Ruby's like, well, then he knows that you know magic, and then immediately starts shooting up a storm. It was crazy. This scene was just crazy. And in between this scene, we're getting Dee preparing to fight the girls. So let's just go ahead and talk about the girl, Dee, and fighting the girls. She locks all the doors but one, and is like just ready to fight him.
Yeah.
And then Montrose finally comes right when she's fighting one of them, and he can only see Dee just swinging into the air. And then you start seeing her arm get like scratched up.
Well, once he held her, because he thought she was going crazy.
Yeah.
So he went over there and held her, telling her to come down. And now you see her arm get scratched up.
Right. And then you see the girl scratching her arm.
You see one girl scratching her arm and the other one to the side pop locking.
Yeah.
Getting down.
So, do you think with Montrose seeing the blood, will he stop? Like since he knows there's magic, do you think he'll do something? Like, or I don't know. What do you think he'll do?
I don't know. But I have two things to say about this. Mm-hmm. Well, not actually this scene right here, but those young girls that they got to play, the little scary girls, the characters.
Yeah.
Their dance skills were on point.
Yep.
I mean, you could tell they were trained in ballet, hip hop.
Yeah.
Just they were doing some of everything.
And their moves were very sharp.
They were sharp, on point. But I don't know if he's going to be able to save her. We know Montrose know a lot because he read a lot. But right now, he's putting her in danger by holding her.
Yeah. So hopefully he stopped. But it looked like she maybe even passed out while he was holding her. So we'll see if he acts quickly. We'll see what he does next week or this week. So with the police shooting, and then Letty sits up and you see that the bullets are not hitting her. They're like kind of ricocheting off of her. And then at the same time we get, Tick coming back, and a police officer is about to shoot Tick. And I thought the bullet was going to ricochet off of him too. But instead, the monster comes up out of the ground and like kills all the officers, and there's blood and guts everywhere. And you think the monster's going to attack Tick and Letty next, but instead Tick kind of like pets it like it's his dog, and it calms down. And you hear Letty say the spell worked.
I don't know. I don't know if that was just any monster. Do you think it was Jaw?
Oh.
Because we saw it had all those tentacles that had tails and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same monsters that was there at the beginning.
Well, this monster was a little different. This monster had eyes all over his body.
Yeah, that's how the monsters was before.
That's how they were?
Yeah, it's the exact same monster.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So
that's what I was thinking. I was thinking it was her, and that's why it calmed down when he pet it, when he put his hand on the head.
That would be interesting, and that would be a good theory only if the monsters wasn't already there at the beginning. But technically, we don't know how long Jaw has been. Well, no, he called her since then.
Well,
who knows?
No, we don't know how many monsters there are like her.
That's true.
That could be her right there.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there has to be a reason why she came back this episode. She didn't do anything else, really. So that would make more sense if that possibly is her. It would make more sense of why she's there. So they're both safe. Their families are going to be safe for now. We'll see what happens. We'll have to see what happens with Dee.
Yeah, for the time being, they're both safe.
We'll have to see what happens with Lotta.
Well, we're going to see what happens with this whole storyline.
Yeah, and what's going to happen with this police.
Like how they're going to be able to explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Right. Now, one thing we didn't talk about, and I just want to real quickly go over before we finish up, is when Ruby tells Letty about how Christina's been changing her into a white woman and da-da-da. And she goes, I don't want to be white, but I want that sort of that privilege of being in my own space and being safe. And she's like, so that's what I realized that I want. I want to be able to create my own space and be safe in her own space and not feel threatened, and that was the privilege of being a white woman, is that you were safe. You never felt scared. You never felt threatened. And she doesn't get that luxury right now. So I kind of like her discussing that, and we're going to see, hopefully, them maybe move back to their black neighborhood. And I don't know.
I didn't get that out of that conversation. I'm sorry. What I got out of it is, she had the magic, she had the spell to be a white woman, but she realized then that she didn't want to be that. that all she realized what she wanted to do is create her own space. And I don't think that she mean create her own space as a white woman. I mean, just she wants to create her own space, create, somewhere where she's comfortable. Which that gave me that little Tulsa feeling again. You know how people wanted to build their own.
Yeah, I think we just pretty much said the same thing. That's what I meant as well. Like she doesn't want to be white, and she wants to be able to create her own space, be safe as a black woman in her own town.
Right, right. She want to create her own space.
And I did think of Tulsa as well. I did think of that. So, yeah, it's interesting. And, I mean, she never wanted to really move to that white neighborhood. Remember? It was Letty that was like, oh, we could move on up.
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, we can move on up in somewhere in our neighborhood where we're safe, where it's us among each other.
Well, they're not even safe in their neighborhood.
Yeah, because that's why the police keep coming in.
That's why I said I think she just wanted to build a space where she is safe.
Yeah.
Where they are safe.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is all we got, you guys. We only have 2 more episodes left. It's been such a good series, such a good season. I'm guessing there's going to be a season 2. We'll have to see. But if there is, we'll definitely cover that as well. But if you would like to be part of the podcast and send your feedback in, hit us up. host@theverdictsinn.com. That is HOST@theverdictsinn.com. Or on Twitter @theverdictsinn or Facebook.com/theverdictsinn. And we will discuss your feedback on the podcast. Until then, I'm Nicole.
I'm Gary.